Hello, I'm Bert Oliver, and welcome to Bowie News and Views. And John Rouse, co-producer, co-host. John, how to starting us off today?
Well, Bert, the snow is starting to melt.
Good news.
Oh my goodness, what a mess that was.
Yes, and I heard so many.
You couldn't have shoveled at your age, did you?
Well, I didn't. My son, fortunately, did. Yet I saw a lot of people my age was out there shoveling.
Well, they're crazy.
And there's one or two people I heard. One person broke a hip, not our producer.
It was a heart attack too.
Yeah, and another person broke the arm. Older.
Well, I have this great neighbor across the street who's a policeman. Well, he's a detective. And between he and his young son, they pretty much keep us going. But of course, my wife Eleanor, and all her Scottish strength, shoveling the sidewalk. I went out. I'm not kidding you. I went out for 10 minutes and I couldn't breathe.
Oh, I know it's difficult. Particularly as not only as you get older, but you get out of shape too.
Exactly.
And yet I saw some people jogging down the middle of the road after they cleared the path.
Yeah.
No cars could go because they were jogging down in shorts.
Well, that's ridiculous.
So
it must be nuts.
I don't know who they were,
but this someone in town who is constantly criticizing the city manager and the city for ineptitude and blah, blah. I mean, it's all a lot of hooey from. It's absolute garbage. But I got to tell you, the city did one fine job cleaning up.
Absolutely.
They had some calls, like people in Sherwood Manor apparently called the city. Well, you haven't shoveled our. Well, that's county.
Yeah.
The city outperformed the and other down south.
Sure.
Which is not Bowie. It may be a Bowie mailing address, but it's county, and the county did a lousy job.
I was terrible.
As usual, as typical. We had their PR hack on there saying, well, they didn't do a good job at all. The city outperformed them in this snow removal effort, just as they outperformed them in everything else. Don't you agree?
John, absolutely, John. And I'll tell you a couple of. Mitchellville Road is a county road.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I traveled out on it, after our road was city side and done, open, it left the path and I could get out. But up on Mitchellville Road, it looked like it had not been plowed at all.
It probably wasn't.
And then there's ice the next day, and I saw two accidents. One of them was where you get to a corner and there's a large amount of snow at that lane. Yeah. And it's a 4-lane there. It must have been some of Mitchellville Road. And here's a commercial vehicle up in the snow. So apparently they got to that point in the left lane and had to move to the right. And that car apparently drove them into the snow. It was sitting up like this on the snow. Now I wish I had a camera. We're going to have to do something about that on our show. Because there's always something going on out there that you or I probably can spot, or someone else might.
Oh, yeah.
And some unusual occurrence. And that car.
I would have liked to have taken a shot of something like that and comparing it with, Bel Air Drive
That's right.
Which were clean before the county even started, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, 197 is a state road.
I know. That was a mess.
It was a mess, and there again, the lane changes. They'd not got the right turn lane at all.
Yeah.
And I saw traffic backed up there all the way back from the town center to Tasker.
Bowie people have to realize that 197 and 450, it is not the city's responsibility, it's the state responsibility.
That's right. And 450 was a mess.
Oh, I know.
Too.
I know.
So you're right. The city did the job. The Sherwood Forest is not in the city limits.
Sherwood Manor, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not in the city. Of 3.
Yeah, it's not in the city.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. And I've recruited someone there to be on our show, our producer. Not in the city.
No, it's not in the city.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that, but I too believe that the communication was another important thing.
Yeah.
And you did hear some good things on television, trying to encourage people not to get out.
Yeah, and they still get out. I know.
Oh, yeah. And, the second snow, and I know I went to the store not realizing that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it took me 40 minutes to get out from the line to the cash.
Oh, I know. Yes.
And I was over the limit, and of course it didn't matter, the limit.
If they predict there's going to be some snow end of the week, I get all the stuff on Monday.
Yeah, you better do
I was on a Giant twice before these storms, and the lines were snaking all the way through.
I went there and gave up. Yeah. Then I went to that new store up there at Hilltop Plaza.
Aldi's.
Aldi's, and I got in and out of there, and pretty
Yeah.
good time. It was on,
Yeah.
well, it was a long line. It got down.
That's a nice addition to the city.
I think so.
I like it. And now that
Mom's,
Mama's Organics or whatever, I went in there, their prices are pretty high. It's sort of a whole earth thing. But Aldi's, you know, their milk is half or less what the Giant is charging. Now, I go there for my milk and bread.
Yeah, well, I've tried some items too, you know, and around my house, only one brand of mayonnaise is supposed to be bought.
Crafts. No, Hellmann's. Yeah.
And because that's in any recipe we have and so forth. So I tried their mayonnaise, and before we even opened it, I'd already had an outcry about, you didn't get Hellmann's? So I tried it myself, and it was not bad.
No, so I'll tell you what, it's a German-owned chain.
Mm-hmm.
It's German-owned. When we lived in Edinburgh, in Scotland, there were two of them in the city.
Oh, there was?
Oh, yeah.
So they're an old
Oh, they've been around for quite a while in Europe.
Yeah.
Their expansion into the United States, I think, is fairly recent. You know, not recent, but they began in Europe.
Headquartered in Illinois, I think, here.
Here,
in
yeah.
the USA.
But it's a German company.
Yeah. That is, do you know if it's, what that means in German, A-L-D-I?
I think it's somebody's name.
Is it? That might be it. But Mom's Organic Market, that's something I looked in there.
Yeah.
And they were still working on the front of the building.
I went in after they opened.
It looked beautiful.
Oh, yeah, it's nice. A lot of nice stuff, but I'm not paying those kind of prices.
And that's the second store, I think, or maybe third that they've done. Now, the guy...
Can you believe Hilltop all of a sudden is becoming the economic miracle?
Yeah. You know, they closed the McDonald's unit there, so
well, that's no loss.
They actually took the building down.
Oh, good.
I heard. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Of course,
there's still apparently some more stuff going in.
There is, and I'm not sure what it is, but I do know there's the building portion there where the bank used to be next door to Aldi's.
Yeah.
Up towards the end, there's an alcoholic beverages sign there, and I don't know whether that's another restaurant or...
Oh, really?
But it's an advertisement they have.
Yeah, because there is a liquor store there.
Yeah, and I don't think it's because they have the license there. But that is a posting they have to have if they intend to serve alcohol beverage. There must be a restaurant.
Must be a restaurant
I haven't heard
or something, yeah. It's too bad they couldn't have got the cakery out front.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I'll tell you, I've never heard of anyone, and we did something to a company over in Annapolis. We dropped by some cookies from the cakery. They knew about the cakery.
Oh, yeah.
In Annapolis.
Yeah, it's famous.
So, and they talked about the big party of cakes, you know, and weddings and so on.
Yeah.
And apparently their reputation is spread.
It has.
But you know, John, that's a difficult thing when you've got an existing shop center like they're doing and still trying to keep their tenants in a situation to serve customers.
Yeah.
And they seem to be doing pretty good with that, even though it's some tough driving there.
Well, I was saddened to see that Free State Mall is losing a long-time entity. The Timepiece Jewelers filed for bankruptcy.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
God, I've dealt with Art Eisenstein for years and years and years.
And he was the guy that saved that individual in that accident up in Baltimore in the harbor there.
Yeah.
And he happened to be on his reserve duty.
Well, he does have, this one is filed for bankruptcy, but he has a big store in Anne Arundel County, so maybe that. But other than snow and new food stores,
what else?
Politics, I found a few interesting snippets, which I'm sure you read. Rashern Baker, who was one of the candidates for one of the many candidates, and one of the few viable candidates for county executive, all of a sudden has this $200,000 fund, which he seems not to want to give us any information on. Did you read about that?
I wonder. Yes, I did that.
I don't get that.
I don't get it either, and that's a pretty good chunk to start with.
It sure is.
And of course, the other people involved there, there's some names that'll be running. Rushern ran before,
right?
Lost to Johnson, and I don't know if anyone else from that group's running, but the sheriff's running. I understand.
The sheriff's running. I saw him on TV.